Hello and welcome back to Tea Rosa, where I'm cooking today on behalf of Cafe de Chat Noir. By popular request, I've decided that we're going to make a paella today. I spent a lot of time in Spain when I was younger with my parents, and paella was always my favourite dish. So I'm doing it. I'm going to do a big paella, which is for 6 people, as a kind of group sort of meal. But I'm also going to do a smaller version in vegetarian for myself, because obviously I'm allergic to fish and I don't eat meat. So we'll get on with it and see how it goes. And I hope you enjoy following the tutorial, and I hope that you try to cook it again yourself. Bye-bye. So the ingredients that we've got today, starting from the top, is we have some chorizo sausage, which I've cut into small pieces. I have some olive oil. I have some teaspoon of turmeric, some garlic cloves, which are all chopped up. I have some paella mix, which is a type of saffron. If you can get all the saffron, I couldn't get any today. You can then soak it and use it properly as you would. But today I'll show you the paella mix, which I buy in Spain. And there's also one then that I bought in the Morrison's. We have some chopped up peppers, some finely chopped onions, and some finely chopped celery. The celery is optional. You don't have to use it if you don't have it. Then I have a cup of cube diced carrots. I have some frozen garden peas. I have some Arborio rice, but you could also use rice which is called Paella rice, or I can't think of the other thing, risotto rice. So you can, you could use any of those, will be all fine. It's like a short grain rice. I have 2 pints of stock. I've made the stock today using 1 cube of fish stock, 1 pot of vegetable stock, and 1 pot of chicken stock, just to make it up. So you've got a nice rich stock, but you go slightly fishy, but you don't want it overly fishy. You have a glass of white wine. That again is for the paella and not for me to drink, unfortunately. I have half a tin of tomatoes. I have some parsley, flat leaf parsley, which I'm going to finely chop up in a few moments. I have some chicken which has been diced up. It's some chicken breast. You could also use thighs or any of the meat off the chicken if you prefer. I have some raw prawns which have been peeled. I have some king prawns which are still with the shell on, which we're going to use them mainly for decorating the top. And last of all, we have some mussels. Again, these will be used on the top. Because I couldn't get fresh, uncooked mussels, I bought these which are kind of in a bag that you kind of steam in the microwave. But I've just taken them out because I'm going to be using them for decorating the top of our paella. So these are all our ingredients. And I hope you enjoy making the paella with me. You can't change any of these ingredients at all. You could use, instead of having like the chicken and the prawns, you could buy a bag of like seafood, like pie filling, and use all the different types of fish. You could use a bag that has like mussels and squid and prawns already in there. You could even use cooked prawns, but I wouldn't recommend reheating it. So if you make the paella and it goes cold, don't reheat it again, because you don't want to die. So there you go. Into a large frying pan, I've put a big glug of olive oil. As you can see, if you don't have a paella dish, it's not a problem. You could use a heavy bottom frying pan, or just any frying pan would do okay. But depending on how many you're doing, obviously this is going to be for 6 people, so it's going to be a much bigger pan. You're going to put that onto a medium heat and get that oil starting to warm up. Now into this oil, let's get it kind of, into this oil, we're going to put all of our onions and our celery. If you don't have celery, don't worry about it, you can always leave that out. With the paella, it's like a casserole. You can put absolutely anything you want in it. If you wanted to do a full fish one, you could do a full fish one. If you wanted to do a meat one, you could do it with pork and chicken. And instead of using king prawns on the top, you could use chicken wings, like cook them in the oven with some peri-peri spice or something on top of the wings, and then use them to decorate the top of the pizza. Because it's just like when you bring it out to show your guests, it's kind of a bit of a show-off dish that you have as a centerpiece in a table, and everybody joins in and eats. So we want to get these onions and the celery all cooking away nicely there. then into there, we're also going to add the chorizo. The reason we're using the chorizo is because it has a really nice taste. If you didn't want to use chorizo, you could use like smoked lardons or some bacon, but it's just to kind of get that flavour going in there. You could also just add some, you know, some paprika or some chili spices if you wanted to heat the dish up a little bit. But I've just got some nice chorizo. We get all the flavours going and getting them all into, because we just add in more and more flavour all the time. So get that all kind of cooking off like this. Next, I'm going to add the small cubed carrots. You can put as much or as little into there if you want, or you can, again, you don't have to put carrots in there. You can put any vegetables or anything you want, really. That's the great thing about this dish. You can use all the things up that are in the fridge that you might have, like a bit of courgette left over, or some peppers left over, or some carrots left over, and you can just use them up. So we want to get these cooking and getting all the flavours coming through. This is going to take about 5 minutes, so I'll come back to you in 5 minutes to show you where we are. Now you can see the colour of the chorizo have started coming through into the onions, so all that flavour from the flavour of the chorizo is coming out and into the food. Next we're going to add our chopped peppers and our diced chicken. Let me just wash my hands. Sorry, I am here, I promise. And again, we want to get all this chicken now, all coming round, and get the flavours from the chorizo going into the chicken and into all the other vegetables and everything that we've got in there. So again, this is going to be about 5 minutes, and I'll come back to you. So the chicken's been cooking away for about 4 or 5 minutes. We don't want to cook the chicken all the way through. What we're trying to do is just kind of turn the pieces over, just to seal in all those juices and flavours. We want to keep the chicken nice and moist. We don't want it to be too tough and tender. Sorry, too tough and hard. We want it nice and tender. Okay. So at this point, as you can probably see in the background, I've started my small vegetarian one. Just to show you, you don't have to use a massive frying pan. You could use a small frying pan. This I would do as for one person, but most people I know would say that I'm greedy, and that should be for 2 people. So the next thing I'm adding is some garlic, and I can get that stirred in. You don't put the garlic in until a little bit later on, because as soon as the garlic starts cooking, if it burns, it can become sour, and you don't want that sour flavour. You want a nice garlicky flavour. So get it cooking in there. And then this is something which kind of surprises people, but the next thing you're going to add into there is your dry rice. So, and you want to fry the rice for like 3 or 4 minutes. People think, you know why, but it really, really does help. So we're going to start frying the rice, get all that flavour covering all those little grains, turn them all over. There we go. So you want to do this for, as I say, 3 or 4 minutes. So just keep it going, really nice, and frying away. So the rice has been frying away for about 4 or 5 minutes now. So I'm now ready to start adding the liquid to everything. So you don't want to put all of this in one go. You want to add it little at a time. So we're going to put some in. Okay. So again with this, you kind of stir it in, and you're cooking and letting the rice kind of, all the glutens come out and everything, and make sure it's all really nice. And then when the liquid starts going down, we'll add more liquid. Okay, so as you can see, the liquid is starting to kind of cook away. So at that point, we add some more liquid. It's really simple. This is one of those things that you just keep slowly stirring and doing. If anybody liked the recipe for the vegetarian version that I'm making, just give me a shout. It's just one that I'm doing for myself, otherwise everybody else gets dinner this evening and I don't get to eat. So if you want that recipe, just shout me and I can send it over to you. Couldn't get hold of any saffron today. I use these little kind of sachets which I buy in Spain when we go over, and I bring them back and they're great. They last for quite some time. They got a long date on them. So these are a mix of saffron, turmeric and so on. But today, cause I was looking for saffron to see if I could get some when I went to the shops, and I was at Morrison's, but I found this, which is Paella seasoning. I'm guessing it's exactly the same as what I actually buy in Spain. So I'm going to use the sachets today just because that's what I have and I want to use up them first, and but I'll use this in the future. At this point I'm going to add the kind of seasoning. I'm also going to add the turmeric. That'll get the colour starting so that the rice is nice and yellow when you kind of have it. Yeah. So as you can see, I've added the turmeric, and because it's quite a big paella, I'm adding 2 sachets of the paella seasoning. But for my little one, I'm only going to use a little teaspoon of the other product. Okay, so you can see the colour starting to come, which is a nice yellowy orange colour, which is really known from saffron, and it's really nice. It gets that colour going. Look at that, you got all those flavours, nice colour, nice happy summery dish of bright yellow sunshine like sunflowers. As you can see, the liquid is reducing again. So this is at the point where we add some more liquid. So as well as adding the stock, which is going to be here, if I need more liquid, I can just add some water later. But I'm also at this point going to add in the white wine. It's a terrible state of affairs in this lockdown when the chef doesn't even get a glass of wine while he's cooking. You know, and nobody wants to be at home alone, so you kind of get yourself a nice big dish like this which you can share with your family, which is fantastic. But while it's cooking, and I'm considering lockdown and how sad everything is, I think I might get myself a little glass. Okay. So, I've got the cooking vodka out, poured myself a little glass. Very good. Oh, fuck it. All by myself, don't wanna be all by myself anymore. Wow, feeling a lot better now. Okay, so as you can see, I'm cooking away the liquid, but what you want to keep doing is pulling everything away from the sides of the pan into the middle, and you keep doing this constantly, just to kind of get all that liquid all going. Okay, I'm also now going to add my tin chopped tomatoes. I'm going to stir them in, and looking at the rice, it's not quite cooked through yet, so I need some more liquid. So what I'll do is I'll actually add some more water. It doesn't need any more stock, because all the flavours are already in there. Just want to keep the rice boiling and to keep it cooking and fluffing up and becoming nice and glutinous. Okay, so we go. So I'll keep going, and I'll grab some water and I'll add some water to that, and I'll come back to you in about 4 or 5 minutes. At this point, I've added another pint of water because it really needed it. But as you can see, the rice is starting to kind of look almost cooked. So when this water goes away, you know, cooks into the food and evaporates, the paella will be pretty much getting ready to eat. So at this point, I want to add my garden peas. And I also want to add half of the amount of flat leaf parsley. As you can see, what I did, I got Paul to chop it all up for me because I'm lazy. So, but the other half I'm going to keep and that's going to be for decorating. So stir all that in. As I said, keep going from the sides. And you can see all those lovely colours coming through. Remind you of summer. It's lush. Now, as you can see, the rice is almost cooked and the liquid is kind of evaporating and it is going away. So this is the point where I'm going to start adding my fish. So if you wanted to put any cod or anything like squid or anything in there, now's the time that you do it. But I'm just going to be using prawns today. So you just kind of want to dash them all around. They're all going to be stirred in and mixed in, so don't worry too much about where exactly it is. But you'll see the prawns starting to go pink. When they're grey like this, it means that they're raw and they need cooking. Let's wash my hands again, 1 second. So the prawns are all in, and again, we're going to keep stirring, pushing from the sides. See, now it's getting, this is the important part, you can see, because you don't want the rice sticking to the bottom, so you just keep going from the sides. There you go. And the dish is getting very, very nearly to the point that it's going to be cooked. Keep stirring and cooking and stirring and cooking. And I'm doing the same to the little one, which is my vegetarian one. Oh, there you go. It's looking nice. You see, I put in some courgettes, some peas, some carrots, and peppers into this one. So it's very similar, but you can use any vegetables that you want. You know, if you've got courgettes hanging around, if you've got some aubergine that you want to use up, you can chop that up fine and pop that into it as well. It's not a problem. As you can see now, the liquid is pretty much all evaporated away. There's not much left, but it's still very, very moist. So you keep turning and everything. But you're going to get to the point soon where you don't want to kind of move it any more, because you're going to start decorating the top with other pieces of fish, which you need to kind of put on and let cook one side, then turn over and cook the other side. But at that point, you won't be able to keep stirring this anymore. So really, you need to be more or less at the point where there's hardly any liquid left. So we're very, very nearly there. I've decided with my vegetarian one, I'm at that point. So when it comes to decorating it, you can use anything you want. Because I don't have any chicken or any fish to go in there. So what I've done, I've got some corn pieces, which I'm just going to pop around. They're already cooked, but I've added a little bit of peri-peri spice to them just to make them look really nice. So in a second I'm going to push them down and into the dish. There you go, so we want them to kind of be a little bit covered. Pop that back on there and make sure the temperature is really low. And I'm going to decorate the top of this one with some cooked sweet corn, baby sweet corn. Just make a nice little decoration, little pattern. Okay. This is how we're going to serve the dish. So everything in this now is cooked off, but you just kind of cooking the last bit through. At that point, you also want to get a lemon, so I'm going to get half of a lemon and give that a really good squeeze and get all that lemon juice in there as well. Okay. So that'll be all really nice and tasty. Okay, so we're going to do pretty much the same thing with the big, there you go. It's very almost, all the liquid is kind of evaporated off. I've got the temperature on this turned down really, really low, so I don't want it cooking too fast now at this point. Okay, so now I'm going to add my king prawns, but these are just mainly for decoration. So we're going to pop them on. In a second, we're going to come back and turn them all over. to make sure they're cooked on both sides. Okay. And also we're going to pop into there the mussels. The mussels are already cooked in this case because I bought them in a bag which is ready for steaming, so you're only particularly warming them up. But if they're not already cooked, I would recommend cooking them separate first and then adding them for decoration. So with this one, I've added a few mussels so we can just pop them in there. You want to kind of push them under the dish slightly. Let's make sure that is as low as we go. There we go, mussels. I kind of did 2 mussels per person, and I've done 1 king prawn per person. And again, over the top there, I want to kind of push up some nice lemon juice. Get that flavours in there. So the mussels now are just warming back through. The prawns have started cooking, but they're going to need to be turned over in a second. I'm just washing my hands again after handling raw meat or fish or anything. So we're just going to flip them over. You can see they've started turning pink already. But they need to be totally pink to make sure they're cooked all the way through before you serve the dish. The smell is intense. It's absolutely beautiful. So as you can see, the prawns have been in here for about 5 minutes. The juice is disappearing just as we like it to. So now those prawns must be cooked on one side totally. So we're going to turn them all over again. The last time. Oh yeah, that's cooked on that side. So you can see the difference in the shell. So when it's grey, it's uncooked and it needs to cook further, but the top is pink. That means that is cooked all the way through on that side. So you're just kind of flipping them over. There we go. To kind of make sure they're cooked all the way through and looking absolutely lovely. Yum yum. I wish I could eat these prawns because they look absolutely divine. What a stupid idea to become vegetarian. So I'm going to be using the last of the parsley that we had, which I'm going to pop all over the top there. And just to make it look really, really fantastic, when you take it to the table, I've been more gay than I could possibly be, and I've cut a lemon into a kind of little crown, which we are going to put in the middle. That dish is ready to cook and it's ready to serve, and I can't wait for my guests to try it and to see how lovely it is. As I said, I'd pop the recipe for the vegetarian one if anybody wants it. But when you come to do your own paella, just remember, whatever you have, you can put in there. You can put in there sausage, meat cut up. You could put in there chorizo, which I like to use. You could put in there smoked lardons if you wanted to. Then you could have chicken or pork. And instead of having the prawns on the top, if you don't like fish, you could have like nice chicken wings that have been baked in the oven or roasted in the oven. But the main thing is just enjoy it. Thank you. So that's all for me today from Tea Roaster Kitchen, cooking on behalf of Cafe de Chat Noir.